Don't care how big, don't care how small.
The law should be there for all, but if judges take it right to throw your case outside, then
The law is an ass.
if when your case is called, no papers at all, then
The law is an ass.
if policemen indeed selling and smoking weed, then
The law is an ass.
and if the brilliant AG let all these things pass, we know
The law is an ass.
yes, if the brilliant AG let all these things pass, we know
The law is an ass. I'm reading a law.
They tell me how you reforming.
3 cheers to you, cause it's here's now them laws want fixing.
I want to see
Justice shine out in this country.
They said no fun,
When cases are won, we must feel like justice is done.
it must be.
Don't care how big, don't care how small, the law should be there for all.
But if judges take it right to throw your case outside, then the law is on us. If when your case is called, no papers at all, then the law is on us. If policemen indeed selling and smoking weed, then the law is on us. And if the brilliant AG let all these things pass, we know
The law is on us.
yes, if the brilliant AG let all these things pass, we know the law is on us. St. Vincent Street is the place where you
I'll be starting,
lawyers real sweet,
taking brief,
money and
not appearing.
some so bold face.
They don't even prepare your case.
I am afraid once they get paid, you could harm, they don't have it made. It's only call me SC, PC, no QC, and a ton loader, WC. If it is West, North, and South, them barrister have tongue.
Then
The law is on us. If they win in cases by coaching witnesses to lie, then the law is on us. If it's them who really say Fenton Ramsahoy can't stay, then
the law is on us.
and if the law society let these things pass, we know
The law is on us.
yes, if the law society let these things pass, we know the law is on us.
So, if the brilliant AG don't fix this fast, we know the law is an ass. And if the Law Society, which became the Law Association, don't fix this fast, we know the law is an ass. This is idiocy in the name of the law. Good evening, people. For those of you who do not know, sometime after 2017, my body decided that it was going to add to my skull box for some reason, and I got what is the doctors refer to as a bone spur under my forehead here. So for about 3 years, I had it. But because I was so busy with politics and everything, I couldn't take the time off to fix it. Dr. Ravindra Lalla, the greatest plastic surgeon in the country, fixed it for me on Friday. It did not require him taking off my whole face. It did not require him damaging me, because it was a frightening thing. They wanted to cut my whole hairline and pull down my face to get at it. He asked me if I would be okay with a small scar, barely perceptible, where the bone spur was. And I said, sure. He said, I will work to put it in whatever front lines you have. I don't have much front lines, but he said I'll work to put it in a front line. So with local anesthetic, I lay on a bed in Sinclair Medical Center, and he cut my skin and then through my muscle down to my bone, scraped around the bone spur, and then with a literal hammer and chisel, he said to me, this is going to feel weird. Weird was an understatement. He was hammering a chisel into my skull. But with about 4 good rounds of it, it broke off. I have it. I should have bring it out to show you all next time. So I just like you know, this plaster is covering some stitches that come out on Wednesday. And I'll do a live video Wednesday, so you get to compare. Because my birthday pictures 2017, I have no bone spurs. Sometime after that happened. Anyway, so for those of you who see the plaster and might be concerned, that's the reason. Now, idiocy in the name of the law. And to Llewellyn McIntosh, my Dean of Form 5 in St. Mary's College, who went on to become the principal of Trinity College, Mocha. Llewellyn McIntosh, Heather McIntosh's father, but he was a Calypsonian in his own right. And he was one of the bravest, brightest Calypsonians. He went under the sobriquet, the mighty short pants, I guess to take from the fact that he was a school teacher, so it had to be in his school. So the mighty short pants wrote a song that allowed me to bring back to say, this law is an ass. Now I'll tell you how I know the law is an ass. Subsection 6(1) of Legal Notice 39 of 2021. Now you all pay attention to this. Because if you are an arguing jackass like me, and you think in your mind that too stupid to be true, so it can't be true, pump your brakes. It may be too stupid to be true, what I am about to tell you. It may be too stupid to be real, but it is real. It is true. This is the law. The piece of jackassery that had to be contemplated by the drafters of this law. I cannot believe that there is not one civic-minded lawyer who posts on Facebook, anybody who gets charged under this law, subsection 6, message me. I'll handle your case for free because I want to challenge it in the court. You need a case to challenge in the court for it to be overturned. You need a judge to rule on the constitutionality of subsection 6. I want you to hear this. If you are home having sex with your wife or your husband or your neighbor or the pool boy or whoever you have sex with, if you live in the house with them, in fact, you don't want to live with them, but if this is somebody that you have sex with, unless you're kinky, you don't need to wear a mask. There's no law that says you need to wear a mask while having sex yet. But I'm saying this and I'm hearing myself say it out loud, knowing that the idiocy that exists in our laws, there's nothing stopping them from writing a sex mask law. But for now, if you are with your wife or your husband in the car, you just came out of the house where you live together, where you all just had freaky circus sex in your bedroom, you come out of the house together and you get into the car together, blushing in love. Put your car in reverse and drive out into a public road without both of you wearing masks, a police officer could give you tickets. A police officer told me tonight, because I was in a car with my family. So when he pulled me over, he asked me where's my mask. I said, I am not pulling bull. This is not a P taxi. This is my family. I was with my daughter. And he referred me to legal notice number 39 of 2021. Subsection 6 says, no person shall, without reasonable excuse, travel in a vehicle or vessel without wearing a face mask, face shield, or face covering in a manner which covers his nose, mouth, and chin. Where the person under this regulation is a child accompanied by an individual who has responsibility for the child, the individual shall provide and ensure that the child has and wears the face mask, face shield, or face covering as required by this regulation. Sub-regulations 1 and 2 do not apply to a child who is under the age of 8. Where a person is in the vehicle or vessel alone, or where a person is allocated a cabin, berth, or other similar accommodation at any time when they are in that accommodation alone. For the purposes of sub-regulation 1, the circumstances in which a person has a reasonable excuse include those where the person cannot put on, wear, or remove a face mask, face shield, or face covering because of any physical or mental illness or impairment or disability, or without severe distress. The person is traveling with or providing assistance to another person, and such other person relies on lip reading to communicate with the first person. C, the person removes their face mask, face shield, or face covering to avoid harm or injury, or the risk of harm or injury to himself or others. I don't know what that means. D, the person is traveling to avoid injury or to escape a risk of harm and does not have a face mask, face shield, or face covering with him. E, if it is reasonably necessary for the person to eat or drink, the person removes his face mask, face shield, or face covering to eat or drink. F, the person has to remove his face mask, face shield, or face covering to take medication. G, a request is made of the person to remove his face mask, face shield, or face covering temporarily for security and identification purposes, if necessary, for the purpose of receiving services, or H, circumstances provided for in the guidelines issued by the Ministry of Health. Nowhere in Section 6 is there an excuse for you traveling with your family in your car to not have on a mask. The level of and idiocy required for the drafter of this law to draft this law is known nowhere else in the world. Whoever wrote this law is not an asshole, is a stitched up asshole. It is an asshole that cannot function, which is worse than just being an asshole. To write a law that says that in your house with your family you do not require a mask, but to come out of your house to go in a car with your family, you and they have to put on a mask, is stupid to a level that they should check you for brain damage. At some point, your fever may have gotten too high, or you were deprived of oxygen for too long, and something damaged in your brain. To the other idiots who heard this idiot draft this, and this includes the Prime Minister, idiot. You, Mr. Prime Minister, idiot-in-chief, are the purveyor of this nonsense on the people. The Attorney General is a jackass of class. He's a jackass that wears suits and pocket squares. But that doesn't take his jackassery away. And if this was written by the pharmaceutical sales rep Minister of Health, Terence Dialse, if he and the CMO who I have no words for. Our chief medical officer is a dancing bear from a circus. That's how he impresses me. If they tell you spin, spin. If they tell you do a somersault, do a somersault. Go through that hoop, go into that hoop. Anything to draw that salary, brother. Keep the lettuce flowing. Because the CMO is different to the jackass of a minister of health. The CMO at least has a medical degree. He is supposed to have two brain cells that can rub on each other and say, hey, and it don't make sense. You can't say cornflakes legal and milk legal, but if you put cornflakes and milk together, it's a charge. Somewhere inside this entire organization called the People's National Movement, they had to have some jackass, Colin Imbert, Clarence Rambarat, Stuart Young, no, look who I call it, forget Stuart. Any of the others, somebody must have had a clue that this is bullshit. I can't believe that Colin Imbert is such an idiot that he and his wife will get in a car and both of them will put on masks. But he just came out of the house. No, he wouldn't. Front page of the Guardian have Colin strolling out in public with his briefcase. With no mask. So it's a band of idiots. It's a clunker of incompetence. It took, I remember a guy drove past me once in a little, I think it was a Mazda 3. It wasn't an Almira, but it could be. But it's something along that size. And it was painted like a perfect pink Gucci handbag. With the whole car. You know when Gucci makes a handbag, they cover the whole handbag with the interlocking G's? So his entire car is a pink Gucci handbag car. And I got a lot of thoughts one time. The work that it took to paint your car to look like a pink Gucci handbag. And I thought, this is not the work of one jackass. The first jackass got the idea. I gotta paint my car to look like a pink Gucci handbag. And he had to tell that before he went to the painter. He had to tell a friend, what you think, boy? I think I'm going to paint the car to look like a pink Gucci handbag. What do you think? That first person was the person that was supposed to bring sense to the conversation. I have had to tell people things like, there's nothing stopping you from doing it, but you shouldn't do it. He didn't. He might have said, hey boy, but the two of them might have been high. Then he went to a painter. Now that painter is a crook. Because that painter could have tell him, boss, you can't paint your car to look like a pink Gucci handbag. But that painter only saw money. And he comes to my mind tonight. Because for his car to end up back on the road, numerous people failed at their responsibility to tell him, brother, don't paint your car like a pink Gucci handbag. Somebody in the cabinet was to say, hey, this law is an ass. This law is stupid. This law is foolish. I don't want to tell you where I encountered the police officer. I don't want to tell you the officer's name. Because when he told me all of it, he admitted to me, boss, this is a stupid law. You gotta tell me. It's idiotic. It makes no rational, reasonable sense. For there to be a justice system in your country, you have to say that it's not enough to give law enforcement the responsibility to break up a fight. They gotta bring you before somebody and tell somebody what they see. Just in case. Just in case. And we have judges for just in case. Some judge somewhere must have had to adjudicate over this. I don't understand how it has not been tossed out. When I turned 35, somebody gave me a birthday card that said, when they made you, they broke the mold. I felt so nice. Opened the card. Rumor has it, they beat the shit out of the mold maker. And I found that was so funny. How it twisted the thing, and it was funny. Whichever judge sees this law, sees a ticket under this law, should send to call the drafter and should insist that you never write a law again. Don't do this. This is not your purview. You cannot touch at this point in the pool and you're drowning. Don't ever do this again. Don't ever pick up a pen and a paper and say that you're drafting a law. Don't. Because you clearly don't know what you're doing. It is idiotic, it is obscene, it is stupid. I have just used 3 words that I shouldn't have had to use because you should know this. You're walking upright, you're not looking wet, and I know it's raining outside, so clearly you have enough sense to come inside when rain falling. But you don't have more than that. You have the basic operational kind of brain, a lizard brain, what they call the monkey brain. You can get yourself up on the branches of the tree. That's about it. Because you can't get this as a law. You can't write this. You can't rationally write this as a law and expect big people to think that you're capable. This is wrong in every way that something could be wrong. This is wrong. And I am calling on the entire donkey farm that is our cabinet, the band of jackasses that have written this law and foisted it on the taxpayers who pay their salaries, who buy their children diapers, who buy their wife and their husband dinner tonight. The people who pay in those salaries, the people who pay in the perks, show them some respect. Show them some respect. Don't write a bullshit law and foist it on them. That's not what they sent you there for. And the only reason a lot of you all are still there is because Eric Williams knows why. In his 2 versions of our Constitution, he did not put a recall law. That's how he was able to stay there for 30 years. Criminal control of the government. But that's a whole other conversation. You're there now. The people didn't put you there to write shit laws. When you think of the police, you who write laws, you in the cabinet, those of you who sit down and listen to this drivel when it is being read, nobody could pick up the phone and say, whoa, kid, there's the Minister of Finance here. Tell the Minister of Health stop talking. Tell him stop talking. We're watching him live. Tell him stop talking. He's talking shit. Tell the CMO, stop talking. Get out of the building. Leave. This is the Minister of National Security. No, he's a jackass. This is the Minister of Agriculture. He's a lawyer. He's a professor. This is, oh God, pick somebody. This is the MP for Port of Spain South, Keith Scotland. All you know me as a big shot lawyer. I want to tell you something. Tell the Minister of Health, stop talking. He's talking shit. Tell him that. This is a stupid law. It doesn't make sense to say that you live in the house with people, and when you come out of the house to go in the car with the people, you have to put on a mask. You're looking like an idiot. You're making all of us look like idiots. We're done trying to pass off a bus shed as a transportation hub. Oh God, don't make us look so stupid now. But they have nobody. They don't have nobody. They don't have no financier to pick up the phone and say, hey, only got cost with the election. As a laugh. As a laugh. Because with all this law, spread your Bamsi and grind was the order of the day for the last week in Tobago. Spread it wide. Air your whole colon. Let everybody pass, see where your family 3 rings come from. Show them all up inside your gar. Send it out on Facebook to show that the law don't apply to P&M politics. And that is the insanity of Trinidad and Tobago. It is unacceptable. It is ridiculous that you can write laws that apply to some and not apply to others. that while, and I want to tell all of the people who quiet, who just give Gary Griffith stick. There are a place called Residence across the road from Gary, where the owners of Residence thought Gary was the partner. Last night, Gary raided them. All you're quick to say, a fella named Shiva Mirage was overdue to get banned from my page. Because every time something go on in the country, Shiva, like a peanut that work its way straight out my system, out into my ass, there, all the time. Where your partner Gary? Where your boy Gary? Your good boy Gigi? All that bullshit. All of that. To blame me, and Gary's my friend, to blame Gary that he can't do everything right. The greatest baseball player who ever lived. Missed 50,000 times. But you don't remember that. Brian Lara out for duck more times than he hit 501 or 375 or 401. But you don't remember that. Nobody, not Michael Jordan, nobody is on 100% of the time. Many people would be happy to be perfect 50% of the time. But Shiva Mirage, whose only claim to the conversation is to come and look for me. Where your boy Gary? He and people like him and Rhoda Barrett and all of these wind-up toys are not important to the national conversation, except that they distract people from rational thought. Too many times we are trying to have a real conversation and a wind-up toy comes across the screen. We need to be able to say, oh, block that. We don't need wind-up toys. To fix Trinidad and Tobago, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, have to understand our role in this democracy. It's not going to change. All of us, especially now, people who have abdicated their responsibilities. I want to give you an example. Right now, tonight, the PNM is in office on 25% of the population. A quarter. A third. 1/3 of the actual eligible registered voters. That means 2/3 of the adults who can vote do not want PNM as government. And 3/4 of the whole country don't want PNM as government. Yet, PNM is in government. And the PNM will continue to be in government because the PNM victory is all that matters. Even though, from what I understand, they've gotten the cut-ass of their lives in Tobago tonight. I hope when I come off the live video that that is true. And if it is true, congratulations to the PDP. Now, going forward from here, we, the rest of Trinidad and Tobago, have to work with the United National Congress. But the United National Congress needs to understand that without Ish and Brian and Steve, Basdeo Pandey was never seeing government. Ishwa Galbaran Singh, Steve Ferguson, and Brian Quaitong were the people responsible for putting them in reaching distance. Without Arthur Napoleon, Raymond Robinson, and Pamela Nicholson, 2 seats in Tobago, they was never seeing government. Pandey knows that. What the lesson for the UNC is, the UNC has never outright won an election as the UNC, and they never, ever will. Because even though the UNC outnumbers the PNM in their traditional support, the traditional support base of the UNC is 39.5% of the population. The traditional support base of the PNM is a little less than 37%. The UNC has more voting bodies, but they are all consigned to UNC constituencies. They don't spread, except in the Tunapuna, St. Augustine, swing seats, in the marginals. They call them marginal because the traditional voter base of the PNM and the traditional voter base of the UNC is more or less the same. And that inside of there is red people, Douglas people, mix-up people like me, who might not made up based on You is UNC because your hair straight, and you is PNM because your hair kinky. It's not like that. To the people like me and like us in the swing seats, we could go either way. We could vote PNM this year, we could vote UNC next year. Depends on who's sounding right. The UNC need to understand. The UNC did not get into power as the People's Partnership. The People's Partnership got into power. And without Jack Warner as a force of nature, and without Winston Dukaran and the COP vote, and seats like Arima, Dabadi O'Meara, and it was Anil Roberts. Anil Roberts, they get point up here. Those seats that pull in the east-west corridor, the point I need to make, and the UNC need to hear it, but like stick just break in their ears. So every time they've gotten into power, it's like they feel like they don't belong, and they smash themselves up. They mash themselves up as the People's Partnership. They mash themselves up as Pandit twice. Ramesh pull them down with Team Unity, and the no vote in the parliament and all that drama. And to the UNC members and supporters, the traditional base of the UNC, you all need to understand. You all outnumber the traditional base of the PNM. But the PNM is spread better because of voter pattern and the HDC and the way the lines are drawn. Bitch and moan all you want about it. The UNC was in office twice with special majorities, once as the ULF under the NAR, and nothing was done because it was more important to fight. And then they were special majority with the People's Partnership, but again, instead of working as a team, after you get into government, you forget that you needed these people to get in the government. And all your ass, now, man. All your ass, undermine them. See if you could pull Anil out. See if you could pull, and the PNM come and hit all of the same shot and pull Jack and Annan and Anil back out too. The UNC, as a political vehicle, is operated by people who do not understand politics. They have an amazing ground game, but when they say you're preaching to the choir, when the priest's talking to people and they all dancing, Father in heaven, raising their hand when he raised his hand, is because they believe what he believes. Preaching to your own congregation is easy. Where the UNC falls down badly is that they do not do well beyond their traditional seats. They cannot identify with people like Diego Martin West and Diego Martin East and Diego Martin Central that wants to give them votes. But the UNC will send people up there 3 weeks before an election and pelt a stone and say that seat can't win. But Diego Martin Central could be a marginal seat. And Nicole Dyer Griffith came within touching distance of taking Diego Martin Northeast from Colm Imbert. I think she lost by about 400 votes. Rocky Garcia almost beat Keith Rowley in Diego Martin West. And knowing that, but there are people in the UNC who tell them, nah, play to your strengths. Play to your strengths, Naparima. They could take San Fernando East, we could take San Fernando West. It's a kind of cheap politics where we just want a nudge. We just want the 21 seats. But you can't accomplish nothing. You can't accomplish anything at all. And the United National Congress supporters, who are generally have more education than the traditional base of the PNM, have to get involved. You can't just sit down and let this continue. I'll tell you why. Because while I don't want traditional base politics, and that is why we formed the Progressive Empowerment Party and why we try to bridge the divide, this exists. And the rest of the country has to work together. But the UNC needs to understand that the 16, 17, 18 seats that they call their own, that they think that is all they bring, that they know that they bring that to the table, without the other seats to push you beyond 21, you are wasting time. Wasting time. You are going to win traditional UNC seats, and you are going to applaud yourself for that. But the purpose of politics is to win the election, the entire thing. And the United National Congress could win handsomely if the United National Congress got out of its own way. Kamla Prasad Bissessar has more national appeal than Keith Rowley. Nobody don't like Rowley. Inside Rowley house, you ever see pictures of Rowley and his family? How everybody is be. All right, take that picture quick now, man. Nobody don't like him. He's not a likable fella. He abrasive. He just talk like that. From the time he open his mouth and he talk, he just feel like God, somebody shut him up. Nobody like him. Kamala and Jack knew that. Jack sold Kamala to the country. And then Winston Dukeran and the rest of the technocrats were supposed to go to work and fix the country. But the PNM came to play. And even with an absolute minority, no money, and they couldn't pull a crowd nowhere, the UNC fell back into traditional button down my shirt, unbutton my pants, sit back and let my belly hang out, I win. Cocky arrogance. And then Jack was dislodged. Don't worry, we don't need Jack. Then Anil was dislodged. Don't worry, we'll live without that bald-head noisemaker. And then Anand was dislodged. And then they realized that the entire front power of the UNC were those three people. Anil was their barking dog. Anand was their version of Ramesh Lawrence Barrage. And every version of it needs a strong lawyer. And Jack Warner was a formidable power broker. There will never be another one that could do what he did. But inside the PNM, they could hate one another. Hate. They pass each other having corridor sex. You know what's corridor sex? They pass each other, F you, F you. That's how they are inside. Outside, the Balizé come first. The mission come first. The corruption come first. The race politics come first. The thieving come first. Inside the PNM, Imbert could hate Rowley. Rowley could despise the best bone in Penelope Beckle's body. Amory Brown could think Rowley is a usurper. Brian Manning could think Rowley sent a spirit lash that shortened my father's life. But when it comes to the Balizé cult, them don't mix matters. We in it to win it. They've been dislodged from government 3 times. And every time have come back and won. At this point, under the People's Partnership, actually it wasn't beyond this point, 2 years, 2012, 2013, the PNM had found their way back into the public space. By 2014, the UNC was fighting a PNM that they should have been ignoring. Voter no confidence in the opposition leader, all kind of shit. Giving value and relevance to things that they could have sidelined. They let that short Dwen be able to get up in the parliament. Bring it outside. Come outside. All the bad meet we outside. And I'm thinking, calm Imbert. Can't call out a cockroach. Calm Imbert, if he get in a fight with a roti, the roti will beat him. But call him in the parliament and the media. Podcast that, call him on the front page. Come outside. All 5 foot 2 inches of him getting on dirty in the parliament. And they cause that. Look how the PNM treats them now. And to think that you might think that they didn't know. But it's not that they didn't know. The UNC lost because they didn't know, and they didn't know that they didn't know. So when people was telling them inside the party, don't worry now, Kamala Nephew, Rodney Charles, and Vassan Barrett will lead the communication charge. And they moved from a massive majority in both central and local government for the first time to losing everything. They lost it so bad that people forgot Kamala in Rienzi. And the cars, everybody just left. She had a bomber drop home. And if you tell the UNC that, they will get vexed. You have no business telling them that. So they're going to continue to sit down on their little gains and send a fellow named Alan Karim behind Rowley, kick out the PNM. And every now and then, they will get something that goes viral. Now and then. And their own choir will sing that song. And I'm telling them, including newly minted PRO Kirk Megu, if the numbers that you're counting are not gains outside of traditional UNC seats, stop wasting time counting votes you already have in the bag. You are accomplishing nothing if you are not attracting new life to the party. The United National Congress has within it some powerful, capable people who could help fix this country. The United National Congress has to want to. Now I tell you everything I tell you here tonight, and fellas like Ronald Bowler and them will say, them is PNM operatives that's saying that. No, that's all right. Say what you want. I do my part. I've served my country for 26 years. And we're still doing it now. Still standing in the gap for people now. Still fighting for those who can't fight for themselves now. Still giving a voice to those who have a voice. No, still doing it. I'm doing it well. I have people who copy my style, who tries to sound like me, and I don't know what their mission is. But my mission has always been to inform, educate, and empower. Not to sell my gun. Not to be, if I say I give Kamala my full support, she could rely on it. But she will also get my honest opinion, whether she likes it or not. I am not going to be one of those people who tells the emperor, your nakedness is not naked, you're covered in nice new clothes. If you never read that story, read it. The Emperor's New Clothes. My issue tonight remains that for as long as we who are not traditional PNM or traditional UNC, we, the 50% of us that have not marshaled ourselves into the formidable force that we could be, until that day comes when Trinidadians, white Trinidadians, Syrian Trinidadians, Chinese Trinidadians, red Trinidadians, Douglas Trinidadians, half-breed, quarter-breed, mixed-breed, and then Indian and African Trinidadians start to take Trinidad seriously, not their party, because they keep telling themselves, our half of the boat could make it to the destination without that other half. Because our education system has made a lot of our people stupid enough to believe half a boat could sink and the other half could continue sailing. We need, all of us, we need to look at this country. Stop talking about the problems in the instant. Stop losing your cool in the instant. Stop getting vexed for an issue and not let it translate to governance. Stop taking your responsibility to this country lightly. When you do, we end up with imps and broken donkeys in government and a cabinet of fools that could write a law that says you and your family don't need a mask to be in the house together, but if all you go in the car, you could get charged if you're not wearing a mask. Trinidad and Tobago is how it is, not because of the opportunists that's sucking the blood out of this country. It is how it is because of the rest of us. We failed, and I've carried that failure since August 10th. I've carried the failure. You don't tell me I failed. I know. I put 5 hard years into that politics. And I know that I didn't accomplish it. I didn't have the drug money that it took to pay people to sit down and count vote in every seat. I didn't have the bandits and the gang members. I didn't have CPEP contract to give people. I didn't have funny money to go down and give out $100. People was telling me everywhere I go, I campaign all over the country and everywhere. Mr. Phillip, we love what you're saying, you know. If you match what them paying, we giving you the vote. I didn't have the money to match what they paid. I couldn't buy it. We didn't raise the money. And I couldn't go and deal with the same criminals that the PNM and the UNC dealing with, because then what would be the point of me and us? What? Anyway, we are responsible for the condition of Trinidad and Tobago. And we either all get together and try and fix it, or we get out. Because the kind of calls I get from all over the world, I get a call today from somebody. I'll read her message to you. I got a call from some people who live in a car. They live in a car because their mother and father was murdered. And their mother and father was murdered because the father was in drugs. And now they live in a car because the drug people who murdered their mother and father coming after them, and they want their money. So the father put the whole family at risk, cost the mother her life, and the children running for theirs. And they called me to ask me what I could do. And I think to myself, what kind of magic people really think I am capable of performing? I mean, you had to run right out of options to call me, send me a picture of you and your family inside the car living. Hear this one. Had one family member murdered and the other who knew the killers also murdered. The next one, I am trying to get them out of the country, but they need visas. However, I know it's going to take months after applying. So I would like to know if you have any contacts in the embassy that can help them to get their visas in a faster period. If it's not possible, please let me know. Thank you. Keep pushing and continue to let your words be heard, even if they will not listen. Now, I ignored the message. I'll tell you why. See that last paragraph? Thank you, keep pushing, and continue to let your words be heard even if they will not listen. This person started the conversation by saying, I follow you. This is everything you say. I'm your biggest fan. I waited after that because I know you started to rub my head, kiss me on my ears, rub my belly before you start to undress me. I know at some point you come into me. The reason for all the sweet talk is that you want something from me. When you say, thank you. Now you come to me, the wolf reach your door, people getting killed in your family, and you want to know what I could do to help. I want to tell you what your opening line should have been. I have been supporting you. I was in touch with Felicia from the first time you make that call for money, and I was sending $100 a month because I believe your message need to get out there. You could do the job. I for you. From the moment you tell me something like that, and then you tell me your problem, I will overtake you from what you did for me to do back for you to help you. But you did nothing to help. But you know how hard I work. You know how hard we work. You could say it. I've been following you. I watch all your videos. You're so right. You put so much passion. You have the right ideas. And all that bullshit. But it got to here without you. Without you. You didn't care enough to try to help it become something. You didn't care enough to think that this message should go out. You said, thank you, keep pushing and continue to let your words be heard. You could have said, I am paying for a standing show on a TV. Listen, you called to see if with all the work I've done, do you have a string, some leverage? Do you know anybody that you could call because of who you are? Could you get that How do you think I am what I am, who I am, and the leverage I have? Not because of you, but because of others. Because of others who have, I know a woman, she so poor, and I didn't know how poor. They're playing with the video. There was a attempt at a disconnect. If you get fall off, add it back. Please share the video. Every Saturday, the Progressive Empowerment Party used to have a meeting at noon, open to the public. And they had this poor woman who used to come to the meeting. Outspoken, well-spoken, intelligent. And I only found out late in the game that this woman who works cleaning toilets and hustling to keep the rain from wetting her children used to take time off of paying jobs to come to that meeting on a Saturday to contribute to the conversation. She could pick up the phone and call me. And if it is a mountain in her way, I am not Munan, but I will try. I will start one stone at a time because I owe her, if nothing else, but the respect and the love she had for this country, that she saw me as an opportunity to fix it. So she put wind in my sails. You living nice. You call me from outside. Your family member get murdered. And another one know the killer. So you want me to go and what? Help you get a visa to get him out. They have a story about a man who was choking to death. He was dying. He was in a restaurant. He was on the ground. And he was on his last. His eyelids was fluttering. His skin was blue. Nobody could save him. Somebody screamed, isn't there a doctor in the house? And this guy stepped forward. He said, I will save him. He pick him up and he wrench him and he hit him the Heimlich and he fly out his mouth. And he fall down on the ground. He gasp and he gasp and he gasp and he catch himself. Come back from dead. He watched the man. He said, brother, he said, I'm a wealthy man. Anything you want in the world is yours. Fellow tell him, give me half of what you were prepared to give when you thought you was dead for sure. Go and watch the end of Avengers Infinity War and the start of Avengers Endgame. Because they mention Hawkeye. And Hawkeye is no longer interested in being part of the team because Hawkeye now have a home and a family and he done. And at the start of Endgame, when everybody was disappearing, Hawkeye's family disappeared too. And that struck me. Yes, I am in recovery and I just lying down, so I'm watching anything I could. I rewatch Infinity Wars and Endgame. But that struck me that this person who said, no, no thank you, I seen about my own. The world find him. And now you're going back. Let me go. Let me do it. We're going to fix it. No. Now that you realize that it is all of us together, to every single person who never made an attempt to help us build this movement, who didn't send a lettuce for us to put, or a piece of cheese for us to put between two pieces of dry bread, don't call me. I am overwhelmed helping the people who have tried. And there are people outside there who are genuinely poor, who have nothing, who now hear about me and they, Mr. Phillip, I don't know who else to turn to, and I really have to analyze and see because I'm in Jericho Project 26 years and I know real poverty and I've seen what people go through in this country and I'll do my best to help the genuine ones. But if you're good and things nice in your world, enjoy it. And if the wolf happens to reach your door, don't call me. This has not been. Today, I met with Felicia and Sean Sunarine, chairman and deputy chairman, former chairman and deputy chairman of the Progressive Empowerment Party. And we spoke today briefly about PEP and what it took out of us. I mean, we literally worked 7 days a week. There are people we spoke about who think that when they met with us, they thought in their head that was the only time that we was active because they were there. But we were constant and we were prolific and we were consistent and we pushed and we worked and we brought a message. I mean, I walked down in rivers. I tell you all, today they admit that the tanks are empty. We told you all, capture, hold, treat, distribute. We ain't capturing, we ain't holding. The tank's empty. Everything that we've said has come to pass. Somebody said, Mr. Phillip, if the Progressive Empowerment Party was in office and you had put those things in place that you wanted to put in place, the online schooling, we would have been ahead of COVID-19. If you had secured the borders with your secure the border plan, COVID-19 wasn't coming into Trinidad and Tobago. So your food policy that would have empowered all the farmers and created opportunities for the farmers to sell direct to the consumer would have reduced the price of food. But not only that, it would have created the intervention we needed in case the food supply chain was interrupted. You was onto something, you were spot on. And yes, we wasn't just a Pelter Stone party. We didn't just show up at election time to say, give me a suck on the seed, nah, man. Give me a blind. We educated the public. We empowered people. We informed them of their day-to-day to the point where we spawned imitators. And I know that. And I want to see how long they last. Driving around in the car, making little videos and things, no problem. Keep the noise coming. I guess every raindrop serves a purpose. But if we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, don't start to take this thing seriously, we're going nowhere. Trust me on that. I tell you that for free. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is quietly rescuing people, helping people. We are working out the amount of money we need to raise to start bringing class action lawsuits against the state for public health, for the condition of the roads, for water. We are in the process of taking the Ministry of Public Administration to court over the $20 million outfit of Faris Family Building. We are doing what the opposition and every other version should do. We were in meetings with Wayne Sturge and Lemuel Murphy to put together a legal team to seek constitutional review of the people trapped outside. And then Kamala and them got on board and we stepped back. Opposition power. Go for it. Go for it. We need all hands on deck. Bring our people home. You have more resources than us. You go through. You have more lawyers than we could shake a stick at. You bring them. No problem at all. But the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago has been quietly helping a lot of people. We've rescued people's homes from banks. We've raised money to pay off people's mortgages. We've helped people get jobs. We've helped employers see the error of their ways when they were trying to let their people go without giving them their rightful compensation. We've dealt with cabinet ministers over issues that the public needed intervention with and got the intervention publicly and privately and got things resolved. The Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago is the strongest platform in this country outside of the government and the opposition. And at some point, if we get our 100,000 members, we will be able to stand cheek by jowl with the two of them. As long as there is a court of law in this country, and that as long as the Privy Council is our final court of appeal, the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago plans to lead the charge in fixing this country by law and by rule of law. Because this can't continue. And tonight, now that I know that this idiotic law exists, Section 6, I need now to talk to attorneys to find out what do we do to get this in front of a judge to say, Your Honor, This idiotic law is on the books. We need you to strike it down. And the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago doing those things like the Progressive Empowerment Party on the kindness of strangers and members and people who care about their country, who call you on the phone and say, look, we just make a big sale. We have a $5,000 we want to make a donation. Put it to something good. Our membership costs $100 one-time payment and $250 a year. That guarantees you savings through our members club. We put out a newsletter every quarter, and in that newsletter there will be coupons and bargains and savings that will save you far more than the $250 that you have to spend every year to be part of the Citizens Union. But your contribution really goes towards that war chest that allows us to pay for accountants and lawyers and all the professionals that we need to get these things done. If you are not yet a member of the Citizens Union of Trinidad and Tobago, please join right now. If you're watching me and you're hearing my voice, go on citizensuniontt.org or citizensuniontt.com. There is a form. Fill it out. You could pay online or just fill out that form, and tomorrow one of the team members will call you and they'll come to you to help you sign that form and pick up your payment. Or you could message WhatsApp Felicia Holder right now. Now, I know there are 2 cut lines, but I haven't been saying them enough. I think one is 468 and one is 471 CUTT. You could try those. Reach out to Satish Ramsaran. He will tell you. The numbers should be on the cut page. There's a cut group. There's a cut website. You could message me on this profile that I am doing this live from, this fan page. Felicia Holder's number is 7694590. WhatsApp her. She leads the team and she'll make sure that people reach out to you. If you could join and just pay your dues, that helps. If you are somebody who has been blessed by life and you have the ability to make a donation, I want to tell you something. We have multiples of legal matters running right now, and some of them are going to bear fruit for the entire country. If you can assist us, help us in any way, make a standing donation of $1,000 a month, please call Felicia Holder 7694590. If you are Trinidadian or Tobagonian living outside of this country, want Trinidad to be a better place, and was sad that the PEP didn't lose, that PPP didn't win, this is an opportunity to build our way forward. Help us. We need your assistance. Yeah? I think that's about it. So until tomorrow, stay safe.